Welcome back to Father and Son Fix. In this episode, we're dealing with one of the most corroded battery compartments we've ever seen in this Sony cassette recorder. We love this cassette recorder, and boy, we made a big mistake. What did we do? We left the batteries in when we put it in storage, and we certainly shouldn't have done that. A note of caution: when you're dealing with any corrosion, you want to be careful. We probably should be wearing gloves and eye protection. In this episode, we're going to show you how to fix all that corrosion, clean it up, and we're going to bring this cassette recorder back to life by using some new belts. Now, you may not have the same cassette recorder, but these same steps will apply, and you might just want to join us for the ride, enjoy the cleaning and getting it back working again. It's a real satisfying process. Well, come along, here we go, let's get started. Oh, would you just look at that corrosion? Well, let's not look at it right now. We're going to set that aside. Let's get some of our cleaning supplies here. Really basic stuff that we're going to use. We got a toothbrush, a green scrubby sponge, and a rag. And that's pretty much what we're going to use to get this corrosion off of here. And you don't need too much more. Again, you want to be careful, and wow. Let's take the batteries out first. Seems like this first row is actually in pretty good condition. Maybe they have some life left to them. We're actually going to test these batteries and see whether they do have any life left. In case you're wondering, the material that you see there, that white corrosion, which happens when batteries are left for too long, is potassium carbonate that is created when the cells or the seals around those alkaline battery cells break open. The potassium hydroxide in there turns into this potassium carbonate. These batteries are so stuck in by the corrosion, we had to get a little precision screwdriver there to kind of pry them out. And oh yeah, that's got some barnacles on there, looking pretty crusty. And let's just set that aside, and that'll be our crusty side. We got the two clean batteries down below, and we are going to test them. And yeah, this is probably the main culprit here, if you want to call it that. It is quite encrusted, and we had to put a little bit of leverage there, and eventually it kind of worked its way out. And oh yeah, look at that. That's the instigator right there. So, doesn't even want to stand up. Nope. Oh, knocking the other one over too. Wow. Okay. We're just going to lie those to the side. All right. And then we're going to get started with the toothbrush, just cleaning out most of this corrosion, scrubbing it off of the plastic part here first, starting to get a little bit of the terminals. And let's see what rewards we have returned for our efforts initially. Oh yes, pretty amazing how much material has escaped out, and it causes this, as we mentioned, this potassium carbonate sort of white crystalline material, and already starting to look a little bit better. That side not so much so, but quite a great start. Just looking at this already. Alright, let's do a little bit more scrubbing and see how much further we can get. And this is just using the toothbrush. No chemicals or anything like that. Just using the toothbrush there just to clean it out. Looking pretty good. Pretty clean there. Really what we're looking for is we want it to make good contact when we put some new batteries in there. Using the precision screwdriver here to just scrape off some of that corrosion, following up with the toothbrush and shaking it out as we go, as we gather our little sort of pile of dust here. You don't want to use excessive force. You don't want to bend any of the battery terminals back or anything like that. You just want to take your time, and we've sped this up so it's a little bit longer, but really not too tedious of a process. All right. Okay, let's see where we're at now. Pretty good. Now we're going to use the green scrubby to follow up, and that's really good on the terminals to get that last little bit of corrosion off of the terminals there. So we'll stay on that for a while, and that's where some of the metal, however it reacts with that potassium carbonate, sort of starts to etch the metal a little bit, and that's where you want to use a green scrubby, or you could use a little bit of sandpaper to kind of just take off some of that corroded metal off of there, where it's reacted to the metal in the battery terminals. And we're speeding this up again, and again, it really didn't take too long. If you just have the attention to detail, and the idea is it's going to prevent any further corrosion from spreading, and you just want to clean all that stuff out of the tape recorder or whatever device it may be. This really applies to any electronic device where you may have made the mistake where we did and left it, yes, outside, and this is, well, not outside, but in storage, and forgot about it, and this is the result. Now let's test these batteries to see whether they had any life left in them. Start with the clean ones. It's not too much going on there. That is, the lights are on and no one's home, or the lights aren't even on. The lights are off and no one's home for that battery. Next clean one. Let's see what we got. A little bit more, but really, truly still dead. Now, onto the crusty batteries. Do they have any life left in them? Start with the mildly crusty battery. Surprisingly has more charge than the clean batteries. Okay, the even crustier battery has the most charge of all. Well, you can't judge a book by its cover, nor a battery by its corrosion, though we would certainly say those batteries are no longer safe or recommended to use, and none of them really had much life left in them, but it's funny to see that the corroded ones had more of a charge. All right, let's get some fresh batteries in here. We got some fresh batteries in here, and let's give it a shot. See if it wants to go. No. We have no rotation of the tape. This is certainly, it's a little disheartening. We had a thought this might be a possibility going in. Here's some movement occurring, which is promising. So it seems like the motors are running, but they're not connecting to the wheels that are going to drive the cassette in there. So most likely what we're dealing with here is bad belts, which also happens when you leave a cassette recorder in storage over time. So rather than sit on our hands and moan about it, let's get in here, and these are the new or rechargeable batteries that were fully charged that we were using to test it, which was great. We solved the initial issue of the battery corrosion. Clearly the tape recorder was getting power, but it was not rotating the cassette. So let's dive right into it. And if you ever worked on electronics or taken something apart, and even if you haven't, honestly, this cassette recorder, partly due to its size, but generally in the sort of simple ethos of manufacturing of Sony at the time, is really easy to take apart. Great tape recorder, and this is our first time taking it apart. As the video goes on, you may see that this is not going to be the last time that we have to do this process. We ran into a few hiccups on the way, so keep on watching as you see our next steps here. About to get this opened up and get all these screws out of the back. And generally you want to look in areas like in the battery compartment, around the edges. That's where you're going to find the screws. And look for any screw covers that are typically round. Taking the back case off, Careful not to hit any of the adjustments on the side. And yeah, it's probably good that we did that because there's still a little bit of junk in there. And not clear if that material on the wheel or the motor should be there or not. And here's what we're looking at. You got a circuit board and the motor, and these are the main components here. The speaker, of course, and the controls as well. So we're trying to get a look now to see if we can see where the damage may be and what's causing it. Not having been in here before or looking at a repair manual, we're not quite sure what to look for. Oh, and there is clearly an issue. There it is. There's one belt down. See if we can get that out of there. Look at it. It's just, it's pulling off like a Twizzler on a hot day. It's just pulling to pieces, and it's got a sort of sticky feeling to it. That's really, oh my goodness, yeah, it's really unsettling to say the least. That rubber is simply decomposed over time. And this is another of the drive belts, although that one doesn't seem to be too bad. It's certainly the elasticity, not as bad as the other one, but the elasticity doesn't seem to be the same as it should be, or it doesn't seem to be as elastic as we would want it to be to have a good grip on that wheel. So it looks like we're going to need to order some new belts, and they sell kits for belts that are specifically for that model, and they can range in cost, and some of them are $20 or $30. We're not looking to put that much into this tape recorder. They also sell universal sets of belts, and they're much less expensive, and so we're going to give those a shot first. We can always get the more expensive belts if the universal set doesn't work out for us. So let's go ahead and order those belts, and in the meantime, we're going to clean the inside of this while we're waiting for the belts to arrive. We certainly got a lot more out of the back here. There was plenty of corrosion and just other dirt and dust that built up from over the years, and it's great to give it a refresh. Alright, we're back, and the belts have arrived. There's the nice clean back of the tape recorder. And so we're going to try and reconstruct the old belt from the pieces of the Twizzler that were torn apart, and match it to one of the new belts here in this universal kit that we have. And let's just say this is one of the strange things about our digital economy, where you can get two belts for $30 specifically for your model, and yet we paid about $6 to get something like 80 or 100 belts of all different sizes. It's mind-boggling. And there wasn't a smaller universal kit per se. It was more, in the 50s and the hundreds. So in any event, here they are, and we're going to try and find a belt that matches here. Alright, let's piece this back together here, see what we got, and see if we can match the diameter here. It seems pretty close. Why don't we give that a shot? Okay. Set these other ones aside. And we'll use those other 99 belts later. So here we're just having a look at how this is going to connect. It's going to need to go from that wheel on the motor to that spindle right there. So let's move the licorice pieces out of the way from the old belt. We're going to move the larger belt out of the way so that we can set this down to the area where it resides. There's grooves in there, and you line the belt up with the grooves. So we're trying to be careful here to keep the belt in the groove on the one side where it hits the spindle there, where it connects on the spindle, while we get it set in the grooves on the other side. And you can see here the tension is much better with the new belts. Even the belts in the universal kit is just rejuvenating, bringing new life to this old tape recorder. And we'll see if it works to bring it back. For now, it's certainly better than the licorice pieces there sitting on the table there. So now that it's in the groove on that drive motor, now we need to get it over to the spindle. And thankfully, we've got some access here. You might have to move a circuit board out of the way on yours to gain access to the spindle or where it connects. If belts are overlapping, it's always good to take a photo. That can help you remember. Then move one belt out of the way to replace the other one to make sure they're all going back in the right order. So now we've just got it started on that groove, and then we moved the spindle by hand to get it to settle into that groove there, and pretty happy with that tension there. Looking at it, it's moving the spindle well. It seems to be staying in the groove on both sides. So that looks good. We're pretty happy with that. Good tension there on the belt. Everything looks like it's good to go. Now we're just looking at this other belt here, the larger belt, and not liking that tension. It's like an old pair of gym socks. It's just the elastic has seen better days. So we're trying to see where the other end of this spindle goes. This may be related to the counter, which also had stopped working. That certainly seemed like it was due to that broken Twizzler piece, licorice piece belt being caught in the gear or in the motor wheel there. But it could be that this belt was also an issue. So while we're in here, before we have to put it all back together, might as well try and replace this belt as well. And this is what we're saying, where you may have to move a circuit board to get access. We're trying to get access to the spindle for the counter on the other side, and the battery terminal loops in, connects to the circuit board and loops into the plastic there. And so just had to shift that out of the way carefully. It's a pretty simple design. Again, the simple ethos of Sony at the time. It's kind of refreshing, certainly. And if you've ever worked on a Honda or Toyota vehicle from this time in the 90s, you'll definitely get a same sense for this sort of simple ethos of construction, and still quality construction as well. Now you got to be careful here with this volume slider, that when you're moving that circuit board, and you may have other components, if you need to move a circuit board, buttons and sliders or speaker wires, other components, carefully move them out of the way. Pay attention to any of those connections. Again, take a photo if you need to remind you. You're almost always likely in this day and age, for better or for worse, to have a smartphone by your side. Use it, take a photo, and you can always go back, and if you don't use the photos, just delete them later. But it's good to have them just in case when you're putting that project back together. So now we're going to lace this belt, this larger belt, out off of that spindle, away from the circuit board, and look at the weird elastic behavior of this belt. It's just tired rubber. It still goes back, but it just the way that it stretches. So this one looks almost perfect in terms of size, and look at the difference in the elasticity there. And then watch this one. Watch the way it reacts. Here you can see it on the weird, strange. So, all right, let's get to it. Let's replace this belt now too. So to replace this belt, we're going to feed it back in same way we took it out and try and get it locked in on that little spindle if we can before we stretch it around to the motor side. Really, whatever way you can get access. And again, even though we had to move the circuit board, we still have pretty good access. We didn't have to disconnect it completely, and we just need to get the rubber belt around to the top little groove on the motor there. So we're getting it connected there, and it's on, but the belt tension doesn't seem to be what we would want. It's just not quite. Checking to see if there's anything in the way, making sure it's going back in the way that it was supposed to. That's another thing. Make sure you take a photo of sort of where that belt travels, if it goes over or around any other components. But something doesn't quite feel right about this belt, and we're just going to go probably just one step smaller with this belt to get a little bit more tension there. And this is, I guess, where you miss out on getting the model kit, where you may have a little guess and check or test and see what belt is going to work to give you the right amount of tension. And go in small increments like that. Don't jump from that to a much smaller belt. This one we just went down. It's probably a couple centimeters, quarter inch in circumference, or the length of the belt. So here we go. Let's get it back in here and see if this is going to give us the right kind of tension that we want to feel on this, and want to see it really rotating both the spindles, the playback one and the counter spindle, with the same sort of movement. Yeah, that feels a lot better. Yeah, look at that. So everything's moving in unison now, and has good tension all around. Nice sort of clockwork mechanism, and you can see there's the belt running around those capacitors. As we mentioned, make sure the path of the belt is clear, and there we can see it's over on the counter. So as we mentioned, while we're in here, we thought this is probably the best time to do that. So let's go ahead and get both belts replaced, and let's see if that's going to solve the problem. And have confidence you can do this. The universal belts you can find online, the universal belt kits, and if you have a broken tape recorder and some old cassettes, it's something really great project you can do, and also go back and live some of this nostalgia through some of those cassettes that you really enjoy. Putting this back together, most of these screws are the same size, except this screw seemed to be a slightly different size. Not sure if we have the right one here. It's taken quite a bit of travel to get it in, and okay, not quite sure about that tension. Making sure the volume slider and all that is still lined up. Get the battery terminals seated back in where they're supposed to be, and that looks pretty good. Yep, circuit board's nice and stable. Everything's still rotating well. Speaker wires connected. All right, everything's looking good. And let's move that out of the way and get the back case put back on. And you want to pay attention, as we mentioned, this one has the volume slider on the one side, and yeah, that is a little piece of plastic that we found for the tape reset counter, and unfortunately the way that that's broken, it's unlikely that we're going to fix that. So we'll take what we can get, and putting this back on carefully, aligning that side as well as here on the other side. And it's probably better to start here with the ports for the headphone and the microphone. Get that lined up, closed down without pinching any wires, a nice snug fit before we start screwing it back together. So putting it back together is more or less the reverse. However, what we realized was the first screw that we put in, and this is something we should know from past experience, we should have been more organized here and put this screw separate. This screw is not the right size, and that's why I was threading in so weirdly. It's just a slight difference, and that's the one that we should have used to hold the circuit board down. So back in one more time. That's much better, and it didn't take a night and a day to screw it all the way in, so that clearly was the right size. Doesn't seem like there was any damage as a result. Thankfully, we got away on that one. But as a reminder, always want to label your screws. One of the things we like to use is an old ice cube tray, and you can put those in separate compartments. Some people like to use muffin tins. A lot of inexpensive ways you can stay organized in a project and don't make the same mistake that we did just there. So let's get it back together for real this time, and let's get everything screwed back in. Okay? And we can get those licorice pieces out of the way. And now, moment of truth, point 2. Gonna get these batteries in again. Alright, here we go. Eject. That works without any power, so let's see, we're gonna go right to reverse. Oh yes, we got rewind, fast forward. Oh yeah. Pedal to the metal straight away. Yes. Awesome. Wow. Corrosion and belts fixed. And it didn't take much time, just took a little patience and care. Alright, let's test out a tape here, and this is, in case this is copyrighted material, we're just going to be careful, and, maybe before we put that tape in, we should clean the heads to make sure that it's going to play, and it's not going to damage the tape. So, we're just using a little bit of isopropyl alcohol here, and some Q-tips to gently clean the playback head here before we put the tape in. Don't want it soaking wet, just want a little bit on there. And we're going to clean some of the other parts in there, just a little bit of dirt that's built up over time. And that should give us, oh yeah, look at that. Well, glad we made that decision. This way we can be sure, even if it doesn't play back correctly, that it's not going to do any damage or anything to our tape or any of the tapes that we put in there. And we'll use a little extra to clean up from some of the mess of the licorice belt, like left these, like, it's hard to see, but these sort of like black oily spots. What can you do? Okay. That's the area that you want to clean, just as a heads up. It sort of looks like a shiny little dome. You want to be very gentle. Also clean the other spindles and the other parts in that area. After cleaning it and letting it dry, let's put the tape in. And this may be copyrighted material, so you're not going to be able to hear the tape playing right now. But the playback is... it's not quite what we would expect. It's sort of scratchy or fuzzy. All the wheels are working correctly, and we're working the volume slider here, and hey, we got movement. It's playing, clearly, but it's just not playing right, and the heads are clean, so we're not quite sure what's going on. We're working the volume slider a little bit here. Sometimes the crackle will kind of go away depending upon where a volume slider's at. So we're not quite sure what to do other than go in and clean that volume slider. And we're going to try another tape before we do that, just to make sure it's not the tape itself that's causing the issue. But it seems like there's something additionally wrong. Corrosion. We dealt with the corrosion. The belts, we dealt with the belts, but there's some other cause of the sound not working. The speaker was clearly plugged in, as we saw. So, rather than sit on our hands, we're just going to get right to it. Go back inside and clean it up. So you've seen us take this apart before. This is the last screw. We're going to spare you all of that, and just going to get right to this next step here, which you may have to perform some other similar follow-up service to yours, checking to see if we have any missing screws here. And it's just kind of the way that it's resting on the headphone and the microphone jack. Don't get frustrated. Now's not the time to get upset. Take your time, still be patient. And here is the volume slider, and it seems to be moving just fine. And thankfully it's here, it's not buried behind any other components, and we have enough of a view of it that we might be able to get in there and clean it. So we're going to use, same thing, some isopropyl alcohol. You really want something that's going to evaporate quickly and it's not going to cause corrosion. Certainly contact cleaner, electrical contact cleaner, even if you have MAF cleaner, although that's kind of a pricey way to go about it. So if you have some isopropyl alcohol, you might as well use that. And just cleaning where this slides, this volume slider, where it slides and where the contacts right along the rail, instructing the circuit board as to, where to set the volume level at. So we're just going to get in there with the Q-tips and see what we can do. And oh yeah, look at that. Certainly trying to get a little more access here, because where we're able to clean didn't seem to be quite the contact point. It's not too easy to get to that without dismantling the whole mechanism. And just want to make sure the belts are working the way that they're supposed to. They're not caught on anything either, or something else we may have missed, even though we gave it a good look over twice, 3 times before we put it back together. So in any event, looks like we're coming into the home stretch here. We've really spent a lot of time getting in there and cleaning out this volume slider, squeezing a little bit of the juice in there, sliding it around, cleaning it out with the Q-tip until it came out about as clean as we would like to see it. And well, let's not lose that. Again, another good reason to have photos. We'll be able to put that handle back in, no problem. Doing a little extra cleaning around the buttons here that we may have missed when we took it apart the first time. Back in goes the handle. Slider's feeling a lot better. Feeling slidey, as sliders will be. So here we go. Alright, back on with the case, and hopefully this is case closed. And we hope this gives you confidence to tackle a job like this, to bring one of your tape recorders back to life. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. We hope you have a great day.